All right, get ready, because today we're going deep, really deep,
Yeah.
into 13 years
Yeah.
of Alex Hormozy's business advice,
Uh-huh.
and it's all packed into one
Great.
intense YouTube video.
Oh, yeah.
This guy's built and sold 9 companies.
I know.
One of them went for $46 million.
It's wild.
And his current company, get this,
Okay.
Acquisition.com,
Uh-huh.
is doing something like $17 million a month
Every month.
in business.
Just, it's insane.
So this isn't someone who's just talking.
Yeah.
The theory,
He's been in the trenches.
this is from the trenches.
Yeah, and what makes his advice so interesting to me
Yeah.
is that it's not just, do this, do that.
Yeah.
It's like, here's why it works.
Yeah.
Based on my experience
Mm-hmm.
doing it.
Yeah, he doesn't sugarcoat it.
No.
He is very
Very straightforward.
about
Like,
what he thinks.
Totally.
And one of the first things that he says that I thought was so interesting
Yeah.
is that you should sell to rich people first.
Interesting take.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't you be trying to reach as many people as possible?
Isn't that the conventional wisdom?
Right.
Yeah.
But he makes this point that when you're starting out,
Okay.
focusing on
Yeah.
wealthier clientele lets you charge higher prices.
Higher prices, yeah.
Gives you the space
Yeah.
to really kind of
Deliver.
over-deliver, perfect your product.
And not need to have, like,
Right.
massive scale
Yeah.
right out the gate.
Yeah. And one of the examples that he uses is Tesla.
Oh, interesting.
They didn't start by trying to make
Yeah.
an affordable electric car for everyone.
Yeah.
They started with the Roadster,
Okay.
which was like a
That's three-
luxury sports car.
Totally.
So they very much targeted that affluent market,
Smart.
right? Like establish their brand, perfect their technology,
So they dialed in.
and then they could kind of move down market
Yeah.
a little bit
Makes sense.
as they had the resources to do that.
Yeah, he actually has experience
Mhm.
with different types of businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, acquisition.com,
Mm-hmm.
that's like,
High ticket.
higher ticket stuff.
Right.
But then he's also had other businesses that were very much focused on
Yeah.
helping people who didn't have a lot of money.
Right.
So he's been on both sides of the fence.
It's not about like, you can never sell to other people.
Yeah.
It's just about when you're starting out.
Yeah, where do you want to start the war?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Where do you want to focus your
Yeah.
energy?
Totally.
So for someone listening who's maybe thinking about starting a business or just starting out,
Yeah.
what's like the actionable takeaway?
I mean, I think the big thing is just pick a place where you can genuinely solve a problem for a smaller, wealthier audience.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to charge what you're worth. Really focus on the quality
Yeah.
and not just the quantity.
Yeah.
Because that strong foundation, that's what's going to allow you to scale later.
Okay. So then he tells this story
Okay.
about an entrepreneur
Mm-hmm.
who had, get this, 56 companies
Oh, my gosh.
and was completely overwhelmed.
Wow.
And unsurprisingly, none of them were really thriving.
It's kind of like you can't, you
Yeah.
can't juggle that many things.
Right, you can't do everything.
Exactly.
And so he's really big on this idea
Okay.
that strategy is about resource allocation.
Resource allocation.
You only have so much
Time.
time,
Energy.
money. Yeah.
If you're trying to pour it into
Yeah.
dozens of different things,
It's a recipe for disaster.
yeah, you're going to
Right.
burn out.
Totally.
So if someone's feeling
Yeah.
pulled in a million different directions,
Yeah.
what's the question that they should ask themselves?
I think the big one is, what's the single most impactful problem you're trying to solve right now?
Okay.
Like, what's the one thing?
If you nail that,
Yeah.
would have the biggest positive impact on your business.
Okay, this next bit might sting a little bit. He's talking about
Yeah.
team performance, and he says,
Yeah.
and I quote, "Things are hard because your team isn't as good as you think they are.
Mm,
And that's because your standards are too low."
that's a hard truth.
Right.
Yeah, but it's probably true.
Yeah, I think a lot of us
I think so too.
overestimate the capability of our teams,
Absolutely.
you know?
Thank you.
So if you think about it, if you could clone your 2 best performers,
Right.
would it change your business?
Probably. Yeah.
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah.
He actually compares his team at acquisition.com
Uh-huh.
to like a private equity firm.
Oh, wow.
So everyone is like top of their game.
Okay.
He's not settling for good enough. He's really going for
The best of the best.
the best of the best.
Yeah, and I think that's the mindset shift.
Yeah.
Stop thinking about just filling positions.
Mm-hmm.
And think about like building a team of A players,
Right.
where every new hire
Raises the average.
raises the average of the
Yeah.
team.
Yeah. But then he has this funny little twist.
Okay.
He says a sure sign that your team lacks common sense
Oh.
is if you have a million stupid rules, and he admits that he's had some ridiculous ones himself.
Like what?
Like, no Netflix during customer calls.
Okay, that one maybe.
They're not so stupid, but
Yeah.
you get the point.
I get it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like if you're
Too many rules.
constantly having to create rules
Yeah.
to manage behavior, then
You've got the wrong people.
there's a deeper issue.
Exactly.
So I guess the question for the listener is like, what are some of those
stupid rules.
stupid rules that you have in place?
That you've created.
Yeah, that are maybe
Dr-
masking
Deeper issues.
a deeper issue.
Yeah, like are you not trusting your team,
Right.
Or is it just
Right.
bad communication? Or you just
Or just hiring the wrong people.
you hire the wrong people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And now you're trying to overcompensate.
yeah, overcompensate with rules.
Okay, so now let's talk about growth.
Okay.
It's something that we all want
Of course.
as entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
But he makes this really important distinction
Okay.
between growing bigger
Okay.
and growing better
Better.
versus bigger,
And he uses this example of
Yeah.
two restaurant chains,
right?
Chick-fil-A and Boston Market.
Oh, interesting.
Boston Market.
I mean, vaguely.
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of his point.
Okay.
Right. So
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A, known for incredible customer service,
Right.
really high quality, consistently
Yeah.
chose a path of
Sustainable.
sustainable growth.
Yeah.
Like
Slow and steady. No.
really getting things right.
Yeah.
Boston Market, on the other hand,
Yeah.
went for rapid expansion.
Okay.
And that's where they went wrong.
That's what he's arguing is
Yeah.
ultimately led to their demise.
Yeah. Growth for growth's sake.
Yeah.
They could backfire.
Exactly.
Oh.
So the lesson here is
Yeah.
don't just get seduced by
Right.
rapid expansion.
Very good.
Focus on
Build something great.
building something exceptional.
Yeah. Be the Chick-fil-A of your industry.
Yeah. Be the Chick-fil-A,
Not the Boston Market.
not the Boston Market.
Yeah.
So what's like a practical step that someone could take
Yeah.
to move in that direction?
I mean, I think a really simple one
Oh.
is pick one area of your business each quarter
Okay.
that you're going to significantly improve.
Okay.
So you could be your product, it could be your customer service, it could be your marketing, whatever's going to have the biggest impact.
Okay.
But focus on steady progress,
Yeah.
not like unsustainable growth.
Yeah, frantic, crazy growth.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about something that I think every entrepreneur struggles with, time management.
Oh, yeah.
He tells this hilarious story about
Right.
getting a call at 5:30 in the morning
Oh, no.
about a burst pipe
Oh, gee.
at one of his properties.
That's the worst.
And you can just like
Yeah.
hear the exhaustion in
Yeah.
his voice
Totally.
as he's like recounting the story.
And I think it highlights something
Yeah.
that's really important.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, not everything is an emergency. We have to learn
and prioritize.
to filter out the noise and just focus on the things that actually matter.
Yeah. So he's a big believer
Yeah.
in blocking off
Yes.
dedicated work time,
Focus time.
focus time.
Yeah.
He actually protects his mornings
Smart.
for deep work
Yeah.
strategy.
Totally.
And then he reserves his afternoons for
Yeah.
meetings.
Yeah.
And that kind of
Makes sense.
collaborative work.
Yeah. I mean, it forces you
Yeah.
to use that morning time effectively.
Yeah, and minimize distractions.
Totally.
So I guess the question for the listener is, what are
Well,
the
most impactful tasks?
most impactful tasks in your day?
Yeah.
And how can you structure your schedule
Yeah.
to protect
that
time?
Well, it means saying no to some meetings
Right.
or turning off your notifications or
Yeah.
maybe even hiring an assistant.
Okay, so
Yeah.
branding.
Branding.
I have to admit, when I hear people talk about branding,
Yeah.
I kind of roll my eyes sometimes.
I get it. It can be a little
Yeah.
overused.
It feels like
Branding
hard
is
to measure.
fluffy.
Fluffy, yeah.
Yeah.
But he has this really like
Okay. Practical.
down-to-earth definition of
Yeah.
branding.
Okay.
He describes it as
Yeah.
the association that people make
Okay.
with your business.
Yeah.
The gut feeling
Yeah.
when they see your name
Yeah. The feeling you
and
get.
your logo.
Yeah, totally.
And he talks about how
Ah.
customer reviews are so important.
That's interesting.
Right. It's like that
Yeah.
social proof.
Yeah. What other people
Yeah, what are other people saying
think about you?
about you?
Yeah.
And he also talks about how direct response marketing,
Right.
while it's effective for
For getting leads?
Generating leads
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily build that long-term trust that a brand can.
That a brand can.
Yeah.
Totally.
There's just like
two different approaches.
Two different approaches. And he actually says that some marketing is just trying to mimic brand trust without actually having built it.
Yeah.
So for someone who's maybe doesn't have a huge marketing budget, what's a simple way to...
Simple but effective?
Yeah, to start building a stronger brand.
Honestly, the best thing you can do is focus on exceeding customer expectations at every touch point. Like, make sure your product or service is top-notch. Deliver on your promises. Go above and beyond to create a positive experience. Because happy customers are your best brand ambassadors.
It's so much easier.
Word of mouth is.
Yeah, to rely on that.
They're the best marketing.
Yeah.
Word of mouth.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about this idea of a money-making system.
Okay.
Because I think this is where a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck.
They don't really know.
They know they need to make money.
Yeah.
But they don't really
understand how
to connect all the pieces.
Yeah, the dots.
Yeah, and he uses this great example. He'll walk into a company that has, let's say, 5 salespeople. And he'll say, why can't you spend 10 times more on ads?
Interesting.
And it's such a simple question. Yeah. But it really forces them to confront the limitation
of their system.
Yeah. Right? Like, why can't you?
It's a good question.
What's stopping you?
Yeah.
What's the bottleneck?
What's the limiting factor?
Yeah. And he's so good at breaking things down into really simple pieces.
Totally.
So he'll take something like a sales hiring process and break it down.
Into steps?
Into all the little steps, like LinkedIn outreach, screening calls, interviews, and then understanding
the conversion rates.
The conversion rates at each stage, right? Like, how many people do you have to reach out to get them on a call, to get them to an interview, to actually hire them?
To get them to a hire.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can pinpoint.
Yeah. Where's the bottlenecks?
The bottlenecks. Where's the breakdown happening?
Totally.
And so for someone who's listening who might feel stuck, a good question might be, what is one belief that you have about your business?
About your business?
Yeah.
That might be holding you back.
Limiting belief.
Yeah, like a limiting belief. Maybe it's something like, I can't afford to hire more people. Or my market is too small.
Or I'm not good enough.
Yeah, or I'm not good at sales, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So once you identify that limiting belief, then you can start to
break it down
and challenge it.
Yeah, challenge those assumptions.
Okay, so we all love a good hack, right?
Oh yeah, who doesn't?
Some shortcut.
A quick fix.
Yeah, a quick fix that promises to magically solve all our problems.
Yeah, but he actually cautions against chasing
shiny objects.
Yeah. You know, he's not saying shortcuts are bad.
Right.
But he's saying that
don't get distracted.
The
fundamentals.
By the shiny objects.
Right. It's like these YouTubers who are just like
churning out content.
Churning out all this content, hoping to go viral.
Yeah, hoping to go viral.
But ultimately, what builds
a real business
is quality. So it's the same thing in business.
It's the same in business.
So what's the real hack?
The real hack is focus on
fundamentals.
The fundamentals.
Yeah.
Create amazing content. Provide value.
Right.
You know, understand how things actually work.
Yeah, don't try to cut corners.
Don't try to cheat the system.
Yeah, deliver.
Just deliver.
Excellence.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the real hack.
Right. So speaking of teams, he really hammers home the importance of investing in A players.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid
to pay for them.
You know, he's not afraid to
invest in talent. Totally.
And he actually has these great stories from his own experience.
Yeah.
So he talks about his first $50,000 employee who allowed him to open up
a second location.
Oh, right. And that location generated a $250,000 profit.
Nice.
Then he talks about his first $300,000 employee, who was a sales superstar, brought in $5 million in sales.
Wow.
And then he talks about his first $1 million employee.
Okay, this is getting good.
Who immediately saved the company $3 million annually.
Oh my gosh.
And helped him
sell his business.
Facilitate the sale of his businesses.
Through her network.
Yeah, through her extensive network.
Wow.
So I guess the question for the listener is, are you undervaluing the impact of exceptional talent?
Yeah.
You know, could investing in A players
transform your business?
Really change your business?
And also, like, is your company, is your mission something that would attract?
Right. Are you the kind of company that those A players want to work for?
Exactly.
All right, get ready for some more tough love.
Okay.
Because he gets real about a problem that a lot of entrepreneurs face, which is ignoring
the elephant in the room.
The elephant in the room.
Yeah.
He says a lot of business owners get caught up
in the little things.
In the little things, like tweaking their website or
like social media.
Obsessing over social media instead of addressing
the core problem.
The core problem.
The root cause.
Yeah, that's holding them back.
Yeah.
So he challenges you to ask this really tough question.
What's the question?
What's the one thing
that
if it were true would be the most painful
to admit
about your business?
Ooh, that's a good one.
And it could be that your product isn't as good as you think it is.
Yeah.
Or that your customer service
is lacking,
or your pricing is all wrong.
Or you're in the wrong market.
You know, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And he uses Peloton as an example.
Okay.
They were obsessed with making workouts.
So good.
So good that people
had to tell their friends.
Couldn't help but tell their friends. Like that was their sole focus.
They focused on the core value proposition.
Yeah. Was that?
That's what drove their success.
Core value proposition.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, for our listener, if your business
isn't growing
as you would like, what is
the one thing
you could focus on
that would have the biggest impact? What are you avoiding? What are you avoiding facing?
What tough conversation are you not having? With yourself or your team or even your customers?
So we've covered a lot.
We have.
In part one.
Niching down.
To building a strong team.
To protecting your time.
Taking your time.
To building a strong brand.
Yeah. It's all about focusing on
those fundamentals.
Yeah. How really building a business that's both profitable
and sustainable. Yeah.
But we're just getting started. We've got a lot more to unpack.
Lots more to unpack.
So make sure you join us for part 2.
Yeah, join us for part 2.
Where we dive even deeper into Hormozi's wisdom.
Hormozi's insights.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Okay, so last time we were talking about Alex Hormozi's 13 years
Alex Hormozi
of business advice. And he really hit us with some
hard truths
about facing those hidden problems.
Yeah, those things that are holding you back, but sometimes
you need to hear it. Danielle.
And it's like ripping off a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
It hurts at first, but then you can actually start healing.
Totally. So let's shift gears a little bit. Because something a little more individual.
Okay.
So Hormozi has these really interesting ideas about how entrepreneurs should approach their own strengths and weaknesses.
Okay.
And he makes this really compelling analogy to bodybuilding.
Oh, interesting.
So you wouldn't try to bulk up every muscle equally at the same time.
Yeah.
You'd focus on legs one day, chest another day.
Right, different muscle groups.
But the goal is to have this
balanced physique.
Balanced, well-proportioned physique overall.
Yeah, I love that analogy.
So he applies that same logic to business. You want a well-rounded company, of course, but you, as an individual, should lean into
your superpowers. Okay.
Like, figure out what you're truly exceptional at.
Yeah.
And double down on those strengths.
Yeah, and that actually makes building a team even more important.
Absolutely.
Right, because you need people who are strong in those areas.
I mean, people where you might be weaker.
Who excel in the areas where you're not so strong.
Exactly. And he's very big on this idea of surrounding yourself with
people who are
smarter than you. especially in specific areas.
Yeah.
He admits that early on, he could do everyone's job better than they could.
Yeah.
Which actually hindered his growth.
Right. It's that
common
classic trap where we think we can do everything.
Yeah, you think you can do it all yourself.
Ourselves.
And it's exhausting.
Exhausting, and it limits you.
Yeah.
And it limits your growth. Limits your potential. Yeah. So it's he calls it starting on year 10 rather than year 1.
Okay, I love that. Can you give an example?
Yeah, so let's say you're struggling with customer retention.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to figure it all out yourself, you go and hire an experienced customer success manager.
Okay.
Who's already spent years mastering that skill.
Okay.
They come in with a wealth of knowledge, proven strategies.
Yeah.
Boom. You've just fast forwarded
you just get
your learning curve.
Like 10 years.
By years.
Okay. So this is great in theory, but how do you actually
this is where it gets tricky.
Yeah.
But Hormozi actually has some really simple but effective advice for this.
Lay it on me.
So first he says, treat interviews
as an education process.
Okay.
Don't pretend to know everything.
Right.
Ask tons of questions.
Okay.
The goal is to learn
Yeah.
as much as you can about the candidate
Okay.
and how they think.
So I have to admit, sometimes I'm like a little hesitant to ask the dumb questions
I get it.
in interviews.
You want to seem...
Because I want to seem smart.
Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he actually says, embrace
a beginner's mindset.
a beginner's mindset.
Okay.
Act like an ignoramus.
Okay.
The more curious you are, the more you'll learn.
That's a great reframe.
Right.
Yeah.
It takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
So he also says it's really important to interview
multiple people,
multiple candidates.
Okay.
For each role.
Yeah.
He gives the example of his co-founder who interviewed over 600 developers.
What?
Before finding the perfect fit for their company.
That's a lot of interviews.
Right. But I guess it really underscores the importance of find the right person.
Finding the right person.
Yeah.
Don't just settle.
Don't just take the first person who walks in the door.
Yeah, and he recommends asking some really insightful questions.
Yeah, like what?
That reveal how a candidate thinks.
Yeah.
One of his favorites is, how does what you do
make the company money?
Make the business money.
I love that question.
Right.
It cuts right.
It cuts right.
Moves a chase.
To the heart of it.
Yeah.
It forces people to think beyond just their tasks.
Beyond their little silo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also suggests asking about the metrics they track.
Okay.
As a way to assess whether they're data-driven and understand how it all ties together.
Contributes to the bigger picture.
The bottom line.
Okay. All of this is making me realize that I need to step up my interview game.
It's a continuous...
It's a pretty basic question.
Improvement process.
Yeah.
Right.
So we can all...
Let's talk about company culture.
Okay.
Now, this is...
It's a tricky one.
Because
hard to define.
It's so hard.
And even harder to create.
To define, let alone create.
Yeah.
But he got
some strong opinion.
Strong thoughts on it.
About what it takes to build a winning culture.
Yeah, what are they?
So he really emphasizes high standards.
Yeah.
Accountability. He says that talent dilution is a constant threat.
Interesting.
So it's so important to
protect your culture.
Your culture by hiring people who raise
the average bar.
Yeah. Not lower it.
Don't bring in people who are going to...
And he actually mentions Amazon's famous rule.
What is it?
That every new hire
should raise the average.
Bar.
Of the team. That's a high bar.
It is.
But it works for them.
But it's a good bar to set.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And he also cautions against creating
stupid
rules.
That stifle.
Yeah, I'm sensing a theme here.
I know he's got a thing.
He really doesn't like those rules.
Against rules.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's because he sees them as
a sign of
distrust.
And
then micromanagement. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the question is,
are the rules in your company?
Yeah. Are your rules empowering your team, or are they just about control? Yeah.
Do they encourage creativity,
or do they create a culture of like
fear and
compliance? Interesting.
Yeah.
So
I'm definitely guilty of that.
We all are.
Yeah.
I think he also says
This is another one of my favorite lines.
Okay.
Your best talent hasn't even been hired yet.
Okay, I love that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's about always recruiting, always looking for those A players who are going to
elevate your business.
Is yet to come.
Exactly.
But in this case, it's the best talent is yet to be
hired.
I love that.
So it's about shifting from building businesses to assembling the teams that build businesses.
Yeah.
But that also means you need to be
the type of company.
The kind of company that attracts
top talent.
So what does that look like?
A company attractive to A players.
He says it starts with a compelling mission.
Oh, okay.
So think about companies
like Beza,
Tesla, or SpaceX.
Yeah.
They're not just
building cars and rockets. Building cars and rockets.
They're trying to solve
big problems.
Yeah, the world's biggest challenges.
Right.
And that's what attracts the best.
The best people.
And brightest.
Yeah. So for someone listening, I guess the question is
your company's mission?
Is your mission inspiring?
Is your culture one that fosters growth and innovation and a sense of purpose?
Yeah.
If not,
what can you do
to change it?
Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about some
real world.
Dive into some real world examples of how this can actually pay off.
How investing in A players
investing in talent
can really move the needle.
So he has these great stories from his own experience. So he starts by highlighting the impact of his first
$50,000
employee. Yeah. So that employee helped him
open a second location.
With
that location,
which generated
a $250,000 profit.
Okay, so that's 5x return. 5x return on his investment. And then he talks about
his first $300,000.
$300,000 employee.
He's a sales
total sales superstar. Brought in $5 million.
$300,000
in sales. And then he talks about his first $1 million employee.
This is getting good.
Who immediately saved the company $3 million annually.
Wow.
And helped to facilitate
the
sale of the businesses. Through her extensive network. So these are
that's incredible.
Incredible results.
It's all about
really
recognizing that talent is an asset.
Underscore.
It's not an expense.
Yeah, the value of talent.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's shift gears.
Okay, let's talk about
to something a little bit more practical. Management.
Time management.
Yes.
I think this is something that every entrepreneur
struggles with. Yeah. We're constantly bombarded with distractions. Urgent requests.
And our to-do lists are
never ending. So how do we even begin to get a handle on it?
Well, Hormozi's got
some advice
of time management.
Right.
And he has some really insightful advice.
Okay.
He really stresses the importance of
blocking off
dedicated work time for those tasks that really matter.
And learning to say no to those requests that don't
align with your priorities.
Yeah. So he actually shares his own scheduling strategy.
Oh.
So he dedicates his mornings
to deep work.
Yeah. And reserves his afternoons
for meetings.
Yeah. So he's very clear.
He's very disciplined about
minimizing distractions during those deep work blocks.
Oh, okay, I need to steal.
It's a game changer.
This strategy.
Honestly.
You got to set those boundaries and protect that time.
All right, so let's talk about branding.
Okay, branding.
This is one of those things.
Concepts that can feel realist, nebulous.
Even harder to
What does it even mean?
Yeah. What does it even mean?
Why is it important?
To build a brand, and why is it so important?
Well, it's
Yeah.
As usual.
Hormozi's got an answer?
Hormozi cuts through the fluff.
Okay.
And gives a very practical definition.
Okay.
So he says brand is simply the association people make
with your business, the feeling they get when they think about your company.
So it's like the difference between like a generic soda and a Coke.
Doing a Coke.
Like, but they both quench your thirst.
Yeah.
One
has a story.
And that's
an emotional connection.
Emotional connection.
Totally.
Yeah.
So he actually breaks down how people form those associations.
Okay.
So it's what your company says or shows, what other people
say about you,
and then their direct
experience with your brand.
Okay, so you have to kind of like
You got to control the narrative.
Control the narrative, but also make sure.
But also deliver.
Deliver, yeah. You know, he actually uses this great analogy of movie reviews.
Okay.
So you might see an ad for a movie and be intrigued.
Okay.
A friend might recommend it.
Yeah.
Right.
Further.
Piquing your interest.
Piquing your interest.
Yeah.
But ultimately...
It's your own experience.
It's your own experience.
Watching the movie.
Watching the movie that will determine...
That really determines...
Your perception of it.
How you feel about it.
Exactly.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you build a brand?
How do you build a brand
that people...
Trust and believe in.
Trust and believe in.
Yeah.
Consistency.
Okay.
You have to deliver on your promises.
Consistently.
Yeah. Your product or service
has to be great.
Needs to be top-notch.
Yeah.
Your customer service
needs to be exceptional.
Yeah. And your messaging? Needs to be clear and consistent. It's like building a house. You need a strong foundation. And he also
talks about how pricing
is an indicator.
A huge indicator of your brand
strength.
Right. It's like
you get what you pay for.
If
you're constantly discounting.
Yeah, if you're constantly discounting.
You're telling the world.
You don't value. That you don't believe in.
Resell.
Right.
He actually shares a formula for calculating the ROI.
For branding.
Which
I thought was fascinating.
Which involves measuring the increase in price you can charge.
Due to brand equity.
So
I love that he brings it back to
these intangible concepts.
Yeah.
Tangible.
Yeah. It takes the mystery.
And measurable.
Out of branding.
Yeah.
And shows you that it's
not just fluffy marketing stuff.
Not just some fluffy marketing concept.
Yeah.
It's a
back and pay off.
Real investment.
Big time.
Okay, so for someone listening who's maybe thinking about
how do I build a brand that lasts?
Yeah.
He says it requires cultivating trust with a large audience over an extended period.
Okay.
So create that sense of familiarity and affinity that translates into loyalty and repeat business.
Okay.
And once people have a positive experience
they don't want to
with your brand,
risk it with someone else.
They're less likely to try.
Yeah.
Competitors.
Okay, so
they've already found something they trust.
We've covered a lot of ground.
Covered a lot.
In part 2.
We
talked about
building a dream team.
To
mastering time management. And cracking the code. Brand building.
But we're not done yet.
Almost there.
We've got one more part.
Part 3.
To go.
Coming up.
In part 3.
Yes.
We're going to explore.
We're going to dive into his insights on
of Hormozi's wisdom.
Scaling your business.
Yeah.
Understanding
your money-making system.
And
avoiding those tempting acts.
And avoiding those shiny objects.
That can lead you astray.
That could distract you from the real work.
So
stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
For the final part.
With part 3.
Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive into Alex Hormozi's 13 years of business advice.
I feel like we've learned so much.
Yeah, we've really covered a lot of ground.
From niching down to
building the right team.
To protecting your time.
To creating a powerful brand.
Yeah.
But one of the things that really stuck with me is his analogy of the business growing like a Christmas tree.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. The more intelligent brains you have at the top, the bigger and stronger the whole structure can become.
It's such a visual analogy.
Yeah, it really highlights the importance of having the right people.
Yeah, surrounding yourself with...
And in the right roles.
Players.
Exactly. So let's talk about scaling your business.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs hit a wall.
At some point.
They're doing well.
You're doing okay.
But they're struggling to
break through
to that next level.
Yeah.
So what's the key to unlocking that sustainable growth?
Wow.
Where do you even begin?
Hormozi is all about understanding your money-making system. And I think he just has this knack for simplifying complex concepts.
Okay.
So he uses this example. He'll walk into a company and say, okay, you have 5 salespeople. Why can't you spend 10 times more on ads?
Oh,
Right.
It seems like it's such a simple question, but
yeah, but it forces you to confront
the
limitations of your system.
Exposes those bottlenecks.
The bottlenecks, like what's preventing you from scaling?
Is it a lack of leads?
Yeah, it's a clunky sales process.
Yeah.
It's a shortage of skilled labor.
Or is it something else completely?
Exactly.
Yeah, and once you pinpoint it,
yeah, then you can
start to fix it.
Systematically address it.
So how do you actually go about doing that? How do you dissect your money-making system?
He's all about breaking things down.
Okay.
To their most basic level.
Okay.
So he'll take a process like a sales hiring system and just deconstruct it.
Into all the
into each step.
Little steps.
Yeah, like LinkedIn outreach, screening calls, interviews.
Right.
And then look at the conversion rates at each stage.
Okay.
Right. So how many people do you have to reach out to to get them on a call?
To get them to an interview.
To get them to a higher...
To make a sale.
Right.
Whatever the...
So you can pinpoint where you're losing efficiency.
And breakdown happening.
Exactly.
It's like taking an engine apart.
Yeah, it's like reverse engineering.
Yeah, and figuring out
your success.
How all the pieces
work together. And then systematizing it.
To make the car run.
So that you can remove yourself as the bottleneck.
And create a machine that can run.
And build a business.
Without you.
That can truly scale.
Yeah. So, speaking of hacks.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
We all...
Shiny objects.
Love a good hack.
We all love a shortcut.
But he cautions against chasing.
Yeah, you can get distracted.
Those shiny objects.
By those, yeah.
Right.
At the expense of...
He uses the example...
A YouTube creator.
The fundamentals. Yeah. So he says a lot of creators start out...
Churning out content.
Just churning out content.
But hoping to go viral.
Hoping to find that viral hit.
But over time, they realize that...
Quality, more quantity.
Consistency and quality.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think the same is true in business.
It's the same in business.
Yeah.
So the real hack is...
What is the real hack?
Focusing on...
The fundamentals.
The fundamentals.
Yeah.
Create exceptional content.
Provide real
value. Understand how the platforms work.
Platforms actually work.
Yeah, don't try to.
Yeah, don't cut corners.
Cheat the system.
Just deliver
excellence.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the real shortcut.
A real path to
the long-term
sustainable growth.
Sustainable growth.
Now, before we wrap things up, I want to circle back to that idea of growing better versus growing bigger.
Right. The Chick-fil-A versus...
Yeah, the Chick-fil-A versus...
The Boston market.
The Boston market.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A chose that path of
sustainable
growth.
They focused on quality.
They really focused on quality. Inconsistency and customer service. And Boston market.
They just wanted to grow.
Prioritize that rapid expansion.
Yeah, and we all know.
And we know.
How that turned out.
The true growth.
Yeah, it's about
exceeding expectations.
It's customer expectations.
Growing something.
And building a brand.
That people
love and trust.
And
he suggests
it's not just about adding more customers.
Pick one area
or increasing revenue
of your business.
It's about
to significantly improve
building something
each quarter
truly exceptional
that allows you to focus
making those incremental improvements
your efforts and make real progress
that compound over time
rather than just spreading yourself too thin.
No, he also talks about experiencing periods of
explosive growth.
Like incredible growth.
You like those hockey stick moments?
The hockey stick moments.
Where everything just takes off.
Yeah.
And he's definitely had those.
Yeah.
In his career.
And he attributes those to...
So he attributes...
a few different factors.
Yeah.
These two, one is identifying...
Underpriced opportunities.
Two
is delivering
exceptional value. And then three is...
leveraging
word of mouth.
So
it's not just luck.
It's about being strategic.
Yeah, being strategic.
It's about execution.
Delivering on your promises.
And creating something.
That people
want to talk about.
Love.
That they love.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We've explored
his ideas on
things.
Niching down, building the right team.
Building a strong team.
Protecting your time, creating a powerful brand.
Protecting your time.
Understanding your money-making system. Avoiding those tempting hacks.
Avoiding those shiny objects.
And so much more.
It's been an incredible journey.
I hope you found this as valuable as we have.
Yeah. What are the key takeaways?
Yeah, what are those key takeaways?
What actions?
What action can you take? Today to actually... implement these principles in your business.
Yeah, if your business...
And if your business
isn't growing.
Isn't growing as you'd like.
As you'd like it to.
What is the one thing?
What's the one thing
you could focus on?
That you could focus on.
That would have the biggest impact.
To have the biggest impact.
What are you avoiding facing?
Yeah, what are you avoiding?
What tough conversations do you need to have?
Because that's where the real grace
happens. Magic happens.
Yeah.
Remember building a successful business.
It's a journey.
It's a journey.
Not a destination.
Not a destination.
It's about continuous.
It's about continuous.
Learning.
Relentless.
Improvement and commitment.
And a commitment to delivering exceptional
value.
And on that note,
we wrap up our deep dive.
Into Alex Hormozi's.
Business
13 years.
13 years of business wisdom.
Until next time, keep diving deep.
Keep learning.
Keep learning.
And keep pushing your business.
To new heights.